Good morning. Time for a news update. I should have said good morning, all you cool cats and kittens. You know where that comes from? Anyway, if you do, you do. If you don't, well, I guess you'll figure it out. Yeah, there's been some updates. There's been some updates on the whole Aurora, Colorado situation. Well, there's a law firm that has now come forward and said, no, this has been going on since 2023. Gangs have taken over the Aurora, Colorado apartments since 2023. This is not brand new. It's not, they're trying to cover it up, basically. Somebody messaged me today and said, hey, if you want hard evidence, they finally came forward and said gangs have been collecting money in the Aurora apartments, whispering, whatever it is. They've been running the show for a year now. So I guess it's starting to become very apparent that the stuff that was said, I don't know, it's hard to believe it, because you get this ring bell from a girl that lives in the apartment building, and she posted on TikTok and says something about these Venezuelan gang members and stuff breaking in. The police come out there, interview people. They have a translator out there. There's video footage of the translator asking questions and stuff like that, or talking about the situation, I should say. And, of course, she's a white woman that doesn't look like she fits in that area, and she's probably got some pretty hardcore liberal values, so there probably is some kind of reason there for her to kind of skew things. And she's saying, oh, no, interviewing all these people with the police and stuff like that, there's no report of it being gang activity. Yes, it is physical activity where they vandalize and they damage property and stuff like that, but that comes from disgruntled people that are living in these adverse conditions where the walls are falling apart and there's rats and mice and stuff everywhere. So there was two different ways to look at this. It was a gang that came in and just started destroying shit, or it was disgruntled Venezuelans that are living in really shitty conditions that are rebelling because there's no property management. They're still collecting rent and stuff there, but they're not getting anything fixed in their apartments. They have no running water in some of them. The bathrooms aren't working in some of them. The rats and mice and everything else, the roaches. So they were pissed off about that, and they kind of rebelled. So there was one of two ways to look at it. I took the more logical. It's 90% Venezuelan there, if not all Venezuelan, in those apartment buildings. They don't have contracts with the landlord. They are taking their money aimlessly. These people probably got pissed off and rebelled, is what I'm thinking. Let's wait until something like this CBS News report comes out where somebody confirms that, no, this shit's been going on. They're trying to cover this up. The mayor's trying to cover it up. The police are trying to cover it up. Because even the police chief said, there's nothing going on here. There's no reports of gang activity here in this particular isolated incident. There has been stuff going on here in the past. The mayor has said the biggest focus that we have right now is the Tren de Agua of Venezuelan gang that's here is trafficking fentanyl. And we're trying to get to the bottom of it because that's our number one issue right now. So, going back and looking at the interviews and stuff, there's bullet holes in people's windows. There's bullet holes in people's cars in that area. It's a really rough area with these Venezuelans. They really are cutthroat, destructive. And in one of the interviews, who's the young white dude here on Shirley? Is that his name? Shirley? Nick Shirley? He was interviewing one of the women, and he said, well, what would you like them to do if they catch these gang members that are doing this stuff in this area? Seeing as you come from Venezuela, what do you think the right process would be? She said, catch them and deport them. We don't want them here. That's coming from somebody that's here illegally, that wants her own people to get sent back because they're gang members. So, the more and more information comes out, the more and more it looks like I might have been wrong. But I wasn't really making any claims to anything. Yes, this could be gang activity, but we don't know that yet. Why do people get on social media and the first thing that they see, instead of doing research, they get all emotional and in their feelings and they just react to it? That's a weak individual. Get out there, do some research, be reserved about it. I've made this mistake before, but I've learned from that mistake and I move forward and I try to investigate and get to the bottom of everything. Here's the article from the CBS news stating what the law firm said about this whole entire situation. A Denver law firm hired to look into an alleged gang takeover of an Aurora apartment building says they found the Venezuelan TDA gang began taking over the Whispering Pines apartment in late 2023. Since then, the gang has engaged in violent assaults, threats of murder, extortion, strong-arm tactics, child prostitution, as they have exerted a stronghold on the Aurora apartment complex. That's according to a letter sent to the Aurora Mayor Mike Kaufman, Aurora City Manager Jason Batchelor, and the interim police chief that was obtained by CBS News Colorado. So there's been some nasty, nasty stuff going on in these apartment buildings, and they're shutting them down. There's also other video footage that many of you probably haven't seen of other people that live in those apartments that are not Venezuelan. Mind you, there is a small percent that's not Venezuelan, going up to some kind of ownership office, management office that's away from this premises, because management is not there anymore. It's just a giant free-for-all. They are saying, like, what the heck, man? You guys are kicking us out, moving us out, closing the apartment buildings and stuff down, but yet you made us pay the last month's rent, and now we're being kicked out to a new place and we have nowhere to live yet, but you won't give us our rent money back, which is kind of shitty, and I want my money back. I want the keys back. I have belongings and stuff in the apartment that needs to be pulled out of there. I don't know why you guys felt like you needed to go shut my apartment down before I was done cleaning it out. You didn't give us time to do anything, and now I've lost my belongings, my pictures and stuff of my kids. You've got my rent money and stuff. Let me back in at least to get my belongings, and they wouldn't do it. So obviously this apartment building, this apartment complex has had some issues for quite some time. Anyway, let's dig into it a little more. Residents of an Aurora apartment complex with reported gang activity say the property owner is to blame for the deterioration of their building. Tenants of the Edge at Lowry shared their experience Tuesday, calling on the company City of Aurora to hold the company accountable. I have been here for a year and I have not received any kind of violence, said Gladys, a mother living in the building at 12th and Dallas. Several residents Tuesday also said they've never seen gang activity. So why do you think that these people would be denying that there's any gang activity? In Nick Shirley's video, when he was out there, I think I was saying his name correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think Nick Shirley, the young guy, white guy, maybe 6 foot tall, brown hair, young, looks like he's maybe 20, 22 years old. He went there and was interviewing one of the Venezuelans in the courtyard, and he was like, is there gang activity here? And the guy told him, I don't want to answer any questions or anything like that, because I don't want to have my safety at risk. So I bet you a lot of those people there are denying that anything happened, or they're not wanting to admit to it because they're worried about their own safety. They're worried about what nasty things these guys could do to them if they see them on the news or in a report somewhere saying that XYZ has been going on. So yeah, there probably is gang activity there. There is more than what originally came out. Now we're getting more of, it is true that this area is infested with gangs, not just with drugs, but also showing up and taking people's rent, demanding money and stuff like that, destroying people's living quarters and stuff to make them suffer if they don't have money to give them. So what happens in Venezuela is going on in some of these places right now. But what I can tell you, because I live outside of Chicago, is this whole Chicago thing after the Aurora thing happened is completely false. There was not 32 Venezuelans that showed up in a courtyard. There's plenty of people all over Chicago. Even the gangbangers did a video for that apartment building that said, ain't nobody coming over here. O Block is just right down the street here. You ain't coming over here and taking over our apartment building and stuff. And they straight up called out in the media and said, you guys are bullshit for telling people what you did. There ain't no Venezuelans here. We still got our shit. Ain't nobody taking our shit from us. And let them come here and try it if they want to. So the media took what happened in Aurora and then spun it. And somebody created this AI generated where it's nothing but white Ford Transit vans with blue lights on underneath the train tracks that's not even in the location of where the apartment building is. And they did a video with a 911 call stating 32 Venezuelans with guns and motorcycles and stuff came and took over the courtyard. And then afterwards they said, oh yeah, they left before the police got there. 32 of them left before the police got there. The fuck out of here. We all know that ain't true. None of that. That whole story is false. And the media ran with it. Anyway, you got to be very careful with what you believe, but it looks like this whole gang situation in Aurora, Colorado is worse than what we thought or we even knew. And it's been going on for pretty much a year. It's pretty sad that these people have had to live this way, but the majority of them are illegal. They're here illegally anyway, which means that they should either go back or they do time for being here illegally, but our administration allowed them to come here, so who do we hold accountable? Not them. They did what they were allowed to do. You hold this administration accountable, and at the end of the year, you know how to vote. Thanks, guys. Take care. Be blessed. That's the update. Have a great day.